impossible has happened. Unbelievable. No record for human life. Off to the races. Can they catch it?
Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs at the 50. He runs at the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop
Look
that
out,
man.
here comes the blue coat,
Oh,
Kevin.
they got him.
Here
They're
comes
coming
the
from
blue
the
coats.
left. Oh, and they tackle him at the 40-yard line.
I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep. I'm talking about balls deep in love.
And now for our feature presentation.
Balls Deep with Devin and Jovan.
Welcome back to another episode of Balls Deep. We're happy to have you. To start off, we just want to mention that something big happened since our last recording, our last episode. Cam Newton signed with the Patriots just yesterday. No one really seen it coming due to like the Patriots, not taking a quarterback or in the draft or even signing one. A lot of people predicted it, but no one really seen like it matching with Cam Newton and Bill Belichick. But it's crazy news, man. So what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, that's big news. We even caught Devin's live reaction on one of our friends' Twitch streams, Black Ice.
Black Ice 8. Black Ice 8. Shout out to you.
Shout out to you, Black Ice 8. Kenny will actually play that video for you.
Somewhere up there.
Somewhere up there. In the clouds. Kenny, you know what to do.
Whoa, shit! Cam Newton, 1-year deal to the Patriots. Breaking news!
Wow. Called it.
But yeah, it's crazy news. It's kind of like bittersweet hearing the deal be like done because I like the situation for Cam Newton. It brings like a lot of opportunity for him, but the amount of money he's getting paid is like really low, like embarrassingly low for like Cam Newton. He's like not saying embarrassing on his part, but just the fact that I feel like he's kind of being disrespected right now in the league. I mean, $7.5 mil for 1 year is.
It's not even guaranteed $7.5 mil.
That's terrible.
It's incentives.
Cam Newton's no scrub.
Yeah,
I mean, the
agree.
Bears just paid Foles.
Bro, if Bears could have got him for $7.5 million instead of trading all that for Nick Foles. Like for me, I thought the Chargers should have signed him. Like the Chargers had one job, and that was to honestly sign Cam Newton and use their top 10 pick for an offensive lineman or specifically offensive tackle, and they would have been set up. Like their defense is stacked. They're literally only question mark is their quarterback position. Now you got Tyrod Taylor and Justin Herbert, who knows how they perform, especially in that like competitive division. With the Chiefs and they got the Chiefs, Raiders, and now the Broncos. So it's gonna be something crazy. I mean, $7.5 million is it's only 1% of their cap space.
Yeah, it's disrespectful.
So for me, I love the move. I'm happy Bill Belichick pulled the trigger. He's always thought highly of Cam Newton. I know in 2017 after they played, he goes. I quote, "When you're talking about mobile quarterbacks, guys that are tough to handle, tackle, and can throw, run, and make good decisions, I mean, I would put Newton at the top of that list." So he's always thought highly of him. It's weird you're going to see a mobile quarterback in New England, especially with Tom Brady just exiting, because since entering the league, in 2011, Newton has 42 games where he's rushed for 50-plus yards, which is the second most such games behind only Mike Vick. Tom Brady hasn't reached 50 rushing yards in 9 of his 18 seasons with at least 10 games played.
But he's got 1,000 rushing yards.
So it's gonna be a different Patriots offense. Bringing him in, I mean, the move is a low risk, high reward.
Definitely.
If you can get an MVP Cam Newton, it's gonna be a pretty scary. Well, he's already highly motivated, so it's gonna be a scary situation for any AFC team. For me, this move immediately puts New England in the top 3 teams in the AFC behind KC and Baltimore.
I think it leaves the Patriots it leaves them pretty close. I think they might even be top 2. Bill Belichick, we always know that defense is solid, and it's because of Bill Belichick that defense is solid. And they never have the flashiest players on offense, and somehow just find ways to make it work for everybody. So I'm just curious to see what kind of schemes he's going to run with, like, a mobile quarterback, like you said.
I mean, for me, I already can envision
definitely. That's what I'm
I can
saying.
already envision that offense. One, because Cam Newton in Carolina, he's never really had much weapons there, and he's always maximized that talent. So New England, the fact that they don't really have as much talent on offense either, I think he can still deal with it, especially with him being a dual quarterback and be able to utilize his feet. I mean, New England in itself, they always struggled against mobile quarterbacks. So the fact that they'll have one for themselves is going to help them offensively and defensively, because now that defense is going to be able to practice against him and be able to,
get ready for the Lamar Jacksons and the Pat Mahomes. Even though they've got, obviously, a lot more speed than Cam. But it still gives them that practice with a player like that constantly and consistently.
Yeah, so they'll definitely be able to get prepared defensively. Offensively, they already were transitioning to a more run-heavy offense to begin with. With Tom Brady's last years in New England, they were more transitioning that way. Now it's just going to be an even more run-heavy offense. And with Josh McDaniels being there, he drafted Tim Tebow in Denver. So now it's a run-heavy offense because Tim Tebow couldn't really throw all that efficiently. So just taking that offense and sprinkling in some of that offense into what they already had. Josh McDaniels is going to prepare Cam Newton to be as efficient as he possibly can. I know Norv Turner, who Cam Newton's most efficient year in Carolina was under, he advocated for Cam Newton for Bill Belichick to sign Cam Newton. So for the fact that he was able to give him this opportunity is great. I'm happy for the move for Cam Newton because he was either going there or Jacksonville, unless he was willing to wait for an injury. This is probably the best situation for him to land. However, the fact that the amount of money he's getting paid is pretty disrespectful. I mean, he was being disrespected all season, beginning with the Panthers kind of releasing him and waiting so long to do so. Basically, after all the quarterback positions were already taken.
I was just shocked to see that they said that the Pats were the only offer on the table. Honestly, that was the biggest shock for me. I just feel like I said, it seemed like really disrespectful. I feel like Cam Newton saw the opportunity though, and he knew that what that could bring him in the end would probably be far more valuable to him than any money would be.
Yeah.
Because like he said, he kind of has that extra motivation, because he said in plenty of videos, like, they gave up on me. Like, he feels like Carolina gave up on him, and he didn't want to leave. He didn't want to leave. He said it. He said they're going to try to make it seem like it was, me wanting to go. He said, I didn't want to go, so.
He feels disrespected. He should. But I think he's landed in the best situation for him to prove these people wrong.
Yes. He's got a lot to prove. At least for some people.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of people were talking about his injury, his shoulder injury could have been the same injury that Andrew Luck had sustained in Indianapolis, but the only difference is Andrew Luck missed an entire season, whereas Cam Newton was still playing.
Yeah.
So that could have set him back too. A lot of his inconsistencies in recent years have been due to injuries because a lot of defenses take shots at him because he's so big and such a big target.
He never really had much protection.
No, not at all. I mean, New England...
Not from his line and definitely not from the refs.
I mean, New England, their offensive line is suspect as well, but it's better. It's better than what Carolina had to offer in recent years.
And I feel like the coaching staff in New England is better at visualizing and seeing what they do have for talent and putting the guys in the spots where they need to be.
Yeah, they definitely.
And so that's why they
maximize
get
their
by
talents.
with sometimes guys you may not even be able to name.
Yeah.
You know.
I mean, you get a steal in Cam Newton for $7.5 million. A crazy thing I seen was that Chase Daniels, who's a backup, I don't even know where he's playing anymore. I think it's Chicago, but he's getting paid more than Jameis Winston and Cam Newton combined, which is crazy. I mean, the Patriots are essentially paid more for their fine that they just received for this camera gate thing than they did for Cam Newton before all the incentives hit.
I saw there was like a conspiracy that the Patriots did this because they wanted to like kind of cover up that whole, they got fined and finally like the hammer laid down on them. They wanted to, have that story go under the rug and everybody talk about Cam Newton.
I mean, everyone already bashed them for it.
Definitely.
I mean, that story already came out. I
personally don't think, but it's just...
And also, if you're thinking about it past Cam Newton, like, they have Jared Stidham, who they thought highly of up to this point. It's only going to bring competition, so it should only bring out the best Stidham. So even if he doesn't play this year, he
could still be their QB the future. It's only a 1-year deal. We don't know.
He still has room to grow.
Yeah, we don't know much beyond this year for Cam Newton.
But the craziest stats I've seen that I have written down here, Cam Newton's career against AFC East teams, he has a 7-1 record. He threw for 59%, so 149 for 252 for 51 yards. He has a 14-3 TD interception ratio. He has a 95.5 quarterback rating, and he has 52 rushes for 334 yards and 3 touchdowns. This man's gonna eat.
We might see that
MVP Cam Newton back. I'm telling you, he's.
This division seemed wide open, and now it's like. And now it's like, okay.
Tom Brady left, and all the teams were like, yay! And then Bill Belichick was like, fuck out of here!
Oh, man.
So,
I'm excited.
I'm definitely excited. I was happy for the move for Cam Newton, and the fact that...
It makes me want to root for the Patriots.
Yeah, because I love Cam Newton. I mean, he's been inconsistent, but he's a likable player. I don't really see why you truly hate him. But... I'm just upset because now Patriots fans, got another good team. It's like they're fading away into irrelevancy, but now they're back.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
But it is what it is. I'm happy. I hope Cam Newton. I wish him success in New England. I like Bill Belichick as a coach, being that he stemmed from the Giants coaching tree. So I wish him the best as well. But I definitely see this team doing something. So
it's gonna be scary.
So moving on to the next topic, we're still talking about the Patriots, but specifically Bill Belichick. So who do you think has more to prove this season? Tom Brady with the Bucs or Bill Belichick with his current roster in New England?
I think it's Tom Brady with the Bucs. Honestly, that's the only way I could really see it going, because obviously he's the only quarterback that Bill Belichick has won a ring with, or at least as a head coach. But he has never been given the credit, because everybody knows how savvy Bill Belichick is as a head coach, and being able to run things and controlling the team, because he's the GM. He runs the whole thing. We all know how well he runs his situation. So it kind of looks, it's always been like Tom Brady needed more rings. Because every time we questioned the Patriots, we weren't questioning, does, Bill Belichick need this? Like, we knew he was a great coach, but it almost seemed like everybody was like, oh, Tom Brady's not that good. It's Bill Belichick and the team he puts around him. So I feel like it's always been Tom Brady. It's always going to be Tom Brady, unfortunately, because I think he's great. And he's up there for me in terms of GOAT status, but it's just how it is. Everybody kind of just gave Belichick that credit, and it took a little longer for Tom Brady to get that same credit. And I feel like even now, especially him deciding to leave, I feel like he wants to prove that he was just as important.
For me, I agree. I think Tom Brady has more to prove between the two. He chose to leave. He also feels disrespected because Bill Belichick tried trading him to San Francisco in years past and tried to keep Jimmy Garoppolo instead. But obviously, you seen what happened. He heard the news, went above Bill Belichick's head, and Robert Kraft essentially stopped that from happening to begin with. I think they should have traded Tom Brady sooner rather than later anyway and kept Jimmy Garoppolo to kind of get this rebuild or, prepare for the future a lot sooner than they did. Because if it wasn't for Cam Newton being on the market, they would be in a tough situation. But I do think Bill Belichick deserves most of the credit for their success in years past because he's essentially not articulated. He's been the mastermind behind everything. He's been able to maximize all the players' talents, like we mentioned before.
He's put the perfect coaches around them.
He's been able to.
And I'm not to say he didn't deserve the credit, but it's just that unfortunate situation where you have a great quarterback and a great coach, and when the coach was just that much better, it overshadows what Brady did, and so he's always going to need to prove himself.
Yeah, I mean, for Belichick, like he's always found those cheap players and been able to get more from them than what their contract is worth, which is why I also leading back to the Cam Newton thing. I think it's going to pan out. But back to this, Bill Belichick. The only thing for me, I feel like he has to prove this season is nothing. I mean, but for the only reason why I could see Bill Belichick, reason why he has something to prove is that Brady decided to leave this season rather than re-signing after he made them trade Jimmy Garoppolo, and the fact that he went to Tampa Bay and he essentially created a super team over there with that crazy offense with all the weapons. He tried to make Belichick look bad because he thought they were going to only have Stidham and they were going to succeed over there in Tampa and they weren't going to do so in New England. And you're like, see, they need me. Which I'm not saying they don't because Tom Brady is Tom Brady. He's still one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. But I do think he's the greatest game manager of all time as well. He did what he had to do, and that's why it made them so successful. Because in the end, there's some of those Super Bowls that he won because of Adam Vinatieri and Steven Gostkowski. Like a lot of them came down to field goals, and he wouldn't have those rings without them. Even the Edelman. There was one Super Bowl where not the one that Edelman won the Super Bowl MVP. I think it was the year before, the one before when they played Atlanta. I thought he should have won MVP then too, but everyone was so focused on the comeback.
Yep.
And so they wanted to immediately give Brady
all those really good catches, especially that one that almost hit the ground.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But everyone wanted to give Brady all the credit when in reality I don't think that comeback happens without the help of Atlanta. I mean, if it wasn't for their play calling, if they ran out the clock, there was no time that you could have gave them that would have allowed that comeback from happening. But Edelman was able to make the tough catches, and I guess he had a concussion at the end of that season too. So, but jokingly, Edelman posted up. He had an IG post about Cam Newton, and Tom Brady said that he'd always be Edelman's number one. So.
Yeah, I think ultimately, in my opinion, I really think ultimately neither of these guys have anything to prove, at least not to me. I think they're both pretty much solidified. I think just the fact that, one was just that much better, it seems like the other wasn't as great, but I think, they're both solidified for me. They really don't have anything to prove for me, but I know in terms of what everybody, they have to prove to everybody else, it's definitely Brady.
Yeah, I definitely see what you're saying. It's almost like the Michael Jordan, Phil Jackson debate. No one really has that debate because, the player has more he has more, like, he can control the game more in basketball than he can in the NFL.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, but it was more so the Belichick in that situation is Jordan, because not everyone wants to give Phil all his dues because he had Jordan. When you bring up his rings, they always say, well, he had Jordan and Kobe. Like, who wouldn't win those rings?
It's a lot more moving pieces in football.
Yeah,
than it is in basketball.
So it's a similar debate. Like, they both needed each other in the end. But Belichick has proven to have winning seasons without Brady. He hasn't won a Super Bowl without Brady as a head coach. But he had a 10-6 season with Matt Castle. They didn't make the playoffs that year, but they should have with that record. But the AFC was just that good. I mean, and even the season where Brady was suspended, they went 3-1 with Garoppolo and Brissett. So he has a winning record without Brady, but there's no doubt that Brady still brings that team to another level.
Yeah.
But I think the fact that Cam Newton has the running ability, he's very mobile, it'll bring a different dimension to that offense, and ultimately Bill Belichick will succeed this season.
100%.
So, but yeah. I agree, Tom Brady definitely has more to prove this season between the two, because he made it a mission to go down to Tampa and prove everyone wrong. Just because people have called him a system quarterback. So now he's in a different system in Tampa. Let's see what he has to prove.
He's always going to have them rings, though.
Yeah, I mean, you can't take them away.
He's great.
Yeah, I mean, the Patriots, you can't argue they've been the best franchise in the last decade or so. I mean, they have the most rings in terms of franchise history anyway now.
And it all happened in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it happened with the Brady-Belichick duo. It's like...
Or 20 years.
Yeah. and he made like 8 Super Bowls in itself.
Yeah.
So just in that time frame too. So it's kind of crazy. But...
So that leads us to the last topic of this episode. Who has the better season? The Bucs or the Pats?
I think it's the Patriots. Everyone's so wowed by Tampa's roster. I'm really just thinking about the bigger picture. Yeah, the roster on paper looks great. Their defense still suspect. I mean, their front seven last year was really good, but it was the secondary that ultimately struggled and has struggled in years past. I mean, can that front seven repeat the same performance that they had this past year? Who knows? Injuries do happen. I'm not wishing injury on nobody, but it's hard to repeat that kind of performance. But that secondary is still suspect. The only piece that they added was Antoine Winfield Jr., which is a big piece, but he only can do so much, I think. But with the Patriots, and with the Bucs, they play in a tough division.
Yeah, they do.
So
they play in a really tough division, and I feel like the Pats, I feel like, are easy because they have that defense. Brady's always had that defense when he was on the Pats. Now he's going to the Bucs where, like you said, they don't have a good defense. So it almost seems like no matter what Brady's going to do on this side of the ball, the offense might be figured out, but you're going to have to figure out how to cover guys down in Tampa. You're going to have to figure out how to cover those guys on defense, because Brady's only one side of the ball and defense wins championships, and that's why Belichick works so well with that system. So adding Cam and just solidifying his offense a little bit more than what it was with Stidham it's the Pats. It's definitely the easy answer.
I think it's the Pats simply because they play in the AFC East.
Yeah.
The only team that they really have to compete against them in that division is the Bills.
Well, I think they're the more complete team, though, too.
I think coaching-wise, they're better on the coaching level. I would take Belichick over any coach in history.
But that's what's always made the Patriots good.
Yeah.
It hasn't been like the names or the talent on the field. It's been the system.
And yeah, they lost big pieces on defense from last year's production. But like we mentioned earlier in the episode, Belichick just maximizes that talent regardless of who he has. And I mean, he still has Devin McCourty and he still has Stephon Gilmore. So that's all he needs. Literally, he's playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers. He's a mastermind, and there's no there's nothing around it. He's going to figure out a way to succeed. It's more so that offense. That offense hasn't been productive in years past. Are they going to be able to make it productive now? I mean, last year it was very predictable. Whenever they had Sony Michel on the field, they would run the ball. Whenever they had James White, they passed the ball. Now they have a lot more flexibility with Cam Newton being able to run the ball because they could add options, which would open up the offense, the run game, because who's running the ball?
Yeah.
And they could also play 2 running back sets, so to confuse who's gonna run, who's gonna are they gonna run or are they gonna pass? And they don't have like huge receivers outside of N'Keal Harry. They have possession receivers in Edelman. They have Sanu. They have N'Keal Harry. They just added Marquise Lee. So I think Marquise Lee is a big body receiver too. But there's okay receivers. They're not receivers that are gonna wow you, but they'll get the job done.
And like you said, it's what Belichick does. He maximizes that potential. And I think N'Keal Harry is another big name because, like you said, obviously the future's a little cloudy right now, but I think he's going to be really, really good as a receiver. And I think he's going to be up there in terms of, like, star talent, like top 5, top 3 receivers eventually one day.
Maybe. If
he's a really talented kid, and if he stays healthy, I think he can be that threat because, like, Edelman's getting older. You need somebody to take over and be that number 1. And I feel like he can be that for them in the future.
I agree. I mean, there's a lot of different directions that this team can go in terms of offense. N'Keal Harry, he was injured a lot for majority of last season. Yeah. So this year might be his breakout year. Cam does like his big body receivers. So that might be Cam's favorite target in New England. So it can pan out. I mean, I think the Pats will have ultimately the better season this year. Not saying the Bucs won't have a good season. I think both teams ultimately will make the playoffs. But the Bucs do have a tougher road ahead of them this season due to their division and conference. Like I said earlier, I think the Patriots will be the top 3 team, or will be a top 3 team in the conference. But I can't say the same about the Bucs because they have the Saints in the division. They also have the Falcons in the division. Yeah. And the Falcons are a team that's 50-50. You don't really know what you're going to get from them. But then in that conference, you have the 49ers.
I feel like with the Falcons, it's always health.
Well, yeah, too. I agree.
I feel like that's what it's been for them, honestly. It's always somebody, a big, huge piece missing. I feel like if they got their depth settled and they had a much deeper team, they'd be a lot better off.
Well, defensively is usually where they have the issue. But like I said, they have the Saints and the Falcons in that division. They have the Panthers too, but no one's really expecting much from them this season. Not saying they won't do anything, but no one's really expecting much. But then in that conference, you have the 49ers, you have the Seahawks, you have the Cardinals who are up and coming.
A lot of people are high on Kyler Murray. I'm not particularly that.
But on paper, that roster looks good.
It does. It really does. I mean, he has DeAndre Hopkins to throw to as well. So, I mean, and he also can use his feet. So, he's always going to be a threat.
Yeah.
That offense is really, really good.
And you also still have the Packers with Aaron Rodgers. So and you have the Vikings.
Their future's a little suspect.
That conference is a lot deeper.
I don't know where that team is headed.
The NFC is a lot deeper than the AFC, which is why the Patriots have an easier road ahead of them. So I think ultimately the Patriots will have the better season. So I think they will make the playoffs, both of them. I think the Patriots may last longer within the playoffs, especially if you have the MVP Cam Newton. It's going to be a scary sight. So that's that.
MVP?
Maybe. I think he definitely win comeback player of the year.
Oh, definitely. I think he will.
Well,
but he's going to make a strong case for MVP in that offense.
Probably. Well, that's that. That's all we have for you this week. We hope you enjoyed it. Hopefully a lot more moves happen from this episode to the next, so we have a lot more to talk to you about. This was just a big move that we felt like we needed to focus on this episode because it shocked a lot of people within the sports world. Anything you want to add?
No, I mean, it was pretty shocking. That was something that caught me off guard. I think this is the NFL season. Hopefully we get it because it only makes this year way more wide open, much crazier. So I'm just excited for football to come back, you know.
I agree.
Even though my Giants aren't good right now. But
it is what it is.
It is what it is.
Well, as we say every week or every episode, we appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you. We hope you guys come back and watch some more episodes. Make sure to like, follow, and subscribe. Hit that bell on YouTube so you know when we drop episodes. And make sure to, follow us on all social media platforms at ballsdeep_pod on Twitter and Instagram, and ballsdeeppod on Facebook.
Yeah, and leave some comments.
We love some feedback.
Yeah, we love some feedback. Some constructive criticism. Be nice. You don't gotta be an asshole. But yeah, comments. We appreciate comments. Whether it's saying good job, or just telling us something we could do better or something we could add that you might like.
Yeah. So, see you next time. Peace.
You're talking about balls deep.
I'm talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love. I'm talking about balls deep. My boy's talking about balls deep. We're talking about balls deep in love.